Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation. Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler. On this 20th day of December, we are minutes away from the college football playoff beginning. Been looking forward to this day since this thing was announced about a year ago, actually a couple years ago. Very excited about it. Got the Mad New Yorker backstage. We're going to go over these games. And I'm going to get his questions about these quarterbacks that got benched. Kirk Cousins benched and Will Levis benched as well. We'll go over this week's biggest games in the NFL. We have games on tomorrow in the NFL. Big game with the Ravens and the Steelers here. But stand by. We'll take our first and only break. We'll be back here momentarily. Very short break because we want to give our predictions for Indiana and Notre Dame coming up. So stand by. We'll be back here shortly here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the.
I'm Mac, CEO of National Streaming Sports and host of the Mac and Jack Sports Show. You're watching the sharp-dressed man and the big story breaker, Robert Butler, on Sports Scope, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern on National Streaming Sports.
All righty, then. We're really short on time tonight, folks, because this game is about to come on. So we'll go ahead and bring the Mad New Yorker in. The crowd loves you. Got to do things a little different tonight because we got a game kicking off here in just a few minutes. Get your take on Indiana and Notre Dame. Really cold, snowy day. First NFL 12-team playoff game starts tonight. What do you think about that game?
Yeah, the college football games. Yes, they are.
Yes,
going to be exciting. I mean, this weekend's going to be packed. Too bad I got plans for Christmas shopping. But I'm
crazy football weekend, brother.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to make those deals go quick and Instacart half of what I need.
Thank God for technology, right?
Yeah, let me use that app, bro.
Instacart, Cash App. I was just sending my mom. You still got Cash App? You still got the same Cash App? I'm sending all these tech. I just do everything digitally, man.
That's it, man. We got
man's best friend other than the dog.
Got to make room for a full day of like football and craziness.
Football palooza this weekend.
Yeah, number 10 versus number 7.
Yes,
it's in Notre Dame. I mean, I don't know. You know, they got what -7. Notre Dame is what they had.
Yeah, 6.5. Notre Dame's favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're a little bit on something on that one. Indiana's had a heck of a season. The first time in since the 70s that they were have been ranked. So, you know, I'm not sure if their quarterback is back as far as 100% being healthy. I know he's back. And I just think that right now Notre Dame is pumping on all cylinders. I think they're taking it one game at a time. They're not getting too excited, and that kind of focus, Freeman's got them going on the right track there, and I think they're a scary team right now. So, you know, Indiana, let's see. Hopefully, maybe they can make this a game, and it'll be exciting, and maybe go down to the wire. I think it will kind of go down to the wire.
Oh wow!
Because they got nothing to lose, and a team like that like Indiana, and they got nothing to lose, they're gonna make big plays and throw the ball in the air. So, yeah, but I think Notre Dame will win this. And I got the score. I don't know what you got it, but I got it like 27-21. I got it close. So
okay, 27, right around that 6 point. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm like you. I think Notre Dame's playing great football right now. Obviously, there has been a little bit of a layoff here. Indiana did have a win over Michigan. Looked like a crappy win. Of course, Michigan beat Ohio State. That may be kind of an outlier because Michigan's maybe in Ohio State's head.
Right.
Notre Dame, remember they won week 1 at Texas A&M. Came in a little flat the next week. Their only loss was Northern Illinois. It was a bad loss.
Right.
But rebounded, big wins over Navy, Louisville, all ranked teams. I just like the way they're playing. Plus, they beat Army and Navy. Both were ranked at the time as well. Notre Dame is rolling. I think they're just a much better team than Indiana.
Yeah.
I think they win big tonight. 31-13. Notre Dame wins and covers. Colin Cowherd thinks this is going to be within the point spread. So Chad says go Irish as well. So
two things, Robert. Like they're playing at home, which helps a lot because
it's big for Notre Dame. Yeah,
because they had that huge break, and then the second thing, like they have Indiana on depth, right? They got maybe 10 more guys that are 5-star rated.
They really do have a lot of depth.
And so, like, are we going to see a dogfight? Yeah. Is it going to be uneven? I don't think so. But again, it'll be a dogfight. There should be some good football. It should. And if it's not, then these kids are in Indiana thinking about using the transfer portal. Then that's it. Like that, they didn't use that opportunity. So, because it's going to happen. And it's the same thing. Notre Dame will probably lose a few guys that haven't gotten a chance to play to go somewhere else. So, we'll see. Yeah. This is the beginning of the transfer portal battle. Like, who's going to stay? No, I'm serious.
I think the only way Notre Dame loses this game. Now, this can happen in any college football game.
Right.
I've seen this since for 30 years, watching this pretty consistently. A bunch of turnovers, a bunch of fluke turnovers. Right. I said 20 years ago. I said only way Ohio State beats this Miami team that looks totally just like the Terminator. Coming off that year that they beat, who did they beat? But when they went undefeated in 2001, a little over 20 years ago, it would be a bunch of turnovers, and it was for Miami. Right. And Ohio State did beat them that year, beat that really, really good Miami team in year 2, almost went back-to-back national championships, almost back-to-back undefeated seasons. That's what I feel. That's how good that's the difference I feel like in this particular Notre Dame team. But hey, I could be wrong, man.
Yeah, I mean, we're just throwing out, some predictions out there. But look, here's the thing: they've been off for almost 2 weeks, right? Just about
3, yeah,
2.5, yeah. So, I mean, are they going to come out hitting on all cylinders, or are they going to come out a little sloppy? Are they going to
come out fat and sloppy?
Right, like Notre Dame can push and be a little bit more to be motivated. Like these are some of the things that you have to question because some of these schools have had big breaks. For the way the schedule worked out. So I hope it's going to be a good game. I know it'll be a better game.
Yeah, by the way, don't tell us any of the game, folks. I got it recorded.
You're not going to miss nothing great until towards the end of the game because
that's true.
It's going to take them about a quarter. It's going to take them about
they'll be filling out each other these
in the first half.
Drives anyways.
Right. So
back to the regular scheduled program, I guess. What's your thoughts on Will Levis getting benched again? Now, this is official benching for, a lot of turnovers this last game in the Cincinnati game. This is an official benching. This is nothing injury related. What's your thoughts on that? And does he stay with the Titans?
My man, Cafe and Mayo, he needs to chill out. He needs to learn his lesson. And I think that's what this benching is. It's like a coming of age. Like, if you don't understand now what we're doing to you, then you don't need to be here. You can't be here. And we're not going to pay for you to stay here. So this is what that is. I feel like from the top brass, because, if any other team had a guy that they were banking on the future, they would just let him play as many games out. The Jets did it to the last 2 quarterbacks that they selected in the first round. They didn't pan out, and they ended up moving other places, and one of them's doing really good in Minnesota. I don't know if you've heard of his name. But
Sam Darnold, yeah.
But this doesn't mean the end of the career for this guy. We both had him rated in the bottom half of that, in the middle part of that draft, and we also mentioned that he's kind of a hot head, and we he's got a hell of an arm, but he needs to mature a little bit, and this is growing pains for him. He's gonna realize that, and it's not he could be a good quarterback, but he's got to maintain his composure. He's got to figure things out, and the NFL is a little bit different than college football, and this isn't the SEC, and there's just a lot of differences that he got to get used to. But we both had him also rated as a middle of the pack quarterback and being a backup quarterback in the NFL, right? I've
seen more of his last season than the season before that at Kentucky, and he was dreadful at times.
Right.
Now, Steve talks about the year before that where he was really good at times. I just don't understand why he hangs on to the ball too long and just his pocket awareness. You think he would kind of make some improvements from early in the year until now.
Again, like the same thing with the first rounders that were picked at the Jets, who were middle round type of quarterbacks. You even if you pick him in the first round, it doesn't make him a first round quarterback. Plus, you don't have a team if you're picking in the first round to protect your quarterback anyway. There's a reason you're in the first round, and it's not because you can protect the quarterback. Let me tell you that. So these teams pick these guys hoping to get high efficiency, high end play out of these guys, but they're not being protected, or they don't have tools of the trade that a quarterback needs. So we'll see what happens with Levis. I'm sure if he left and went to Canada for a season, he'd come back and probably be a number one quarterback.
Or the USFL. I mean, it's hard to tell what they're going to do. My guess is they're probably done with him, but I'm not for sure of that 100%. I've talked about those guys, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, who did not work out at their first job.
Yeah, and it's okay.
And maybe Tennessee should be a little bit. So I like to play devil's advocate and say, well, there's some times when I really thought Mayfield was garbage at the end. And Darnold, he never showed anything he's sloppy and getting himself hurt all the time and fumbling and freelancing, and really surprised by both of them, especially Mayfield at 70.8% completion percentage right now.
Yeah, but I think with Mayfield, him being drafted as a number one quarterback should have.
Yeah, he's number one overall. Should
have let people know that the potential was there. The only problem, and what we've always stated, was that you can't keep him inside the pocket. You gotta let him run outside. You gotta let him see what's going on in the field, and you gotta let him rip the ball, because he can rip the ball. And he had that shoulder injury. You could tell that he's come off it a little bit. You could tell that whenever they keep him in the pocket, you could tell the numbers just go boop, 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 stop dropping, right?
And that's a good point. You mentioned that, going back to that shoulder injury. A lot of that, I know hindsight's 20/20, right, but a lot of that should have been Kevin Stefanski saying, you're not playing because you're not healthy enough to take these snaps. You're going to put us in, for one thing, you're probably going to get hurt in more, right, regardless what our trainers say. For another thing, you're not putting us in position. We got to put Casey Keenum in here because things went off the rails there that last year with that shoulder injury that Mayfield had. Maybe it was more on Stefanski, who could get fired this year, by the way, being too passive and not stepping up and benching him. We'll never know, because we don't know how much the owner and the general manager is pushing him to play this guy, not play this guy, or whatever.
Right.
Never get a straight answer.
You sound like what I always kind of say is like, we don't know what the contract says, and the GM decides who's on the roster, and they also decide who's playing, because people contractually have to make their money because they have different quotas they got to meet to make sure.
But I said I disagree with that. That's a good transition, because look at Atlanta. I said a week ago, I said I would put Penix in there. You're played to win games. You're not played to, live up to these contracts here. Well, I know we have expensive premium on this insurance policy called Kirk Cousins, but really we want this kid from Washington if we could get him at 8, and of course they did. And Michael Penix, what do you think about that? That move has been done. Penix will be starting this week.
Yeah, and I like the transition. And the reality is this:
you like that?
I'm sure that I like that.
Kirk Cousins will say he don't like that.
Yeah, no, I'm
the
sure,
check still clears.
No, he's going to be okay on money. I'm sure he's not worried about it more than Atlanta's worried about it. Like, this guy is probably still hurt, not recuperated, and he's not helping our team win. You can't keep playing this guy hoping that he's going to be the guy that you're paying for, because I mean, it's not news down the pipeline. It's nothing new. He has had an injury. He's recovering from other injuries from last year, but there's talk about him being injured and him not playing well because of his injury. And truth be told, if you're watching him in practice and you're the head coach, you're probably telling the GM, hey, we can't do this no more. We got a playoff opportunity that we can get to, and we can't have this guy starting. And this kid at practice is outperforming the starter because the starter something's wrong with him. And truth be told, you got to do what you got to do.
It feels like there's an arm strength issue, and
right? Yes,
I'm pretty sure he don't like that.
Right.
Hey, the crowd thought that was funny. I did too, man.
Those kind of things, man. Like, yeah, you got to pay a guy, and he's high end, but if he can't play and perform at the level, at even like a decent level, then it's easier to start.
They almost lost to the Raiders the other night.
That's another thing.
And that's Titans, folks. We were wanting that Raider win to happen to hit Tennessee in the draft, but so much for that.
So like the Baker thing, you can't lead the league in like missed attempts and fumbles,
yes,
right? And be expected to be a starting quarterback, because the rest of your teams.
That goes back to Will Levis. He's got 8 fumbles this year.
Right. So
with the double-digit interceptions, I mean, you're talking 2 and 3 turnovers a game. The law of averages is not on your side as far as winning football games.
Right. And I think what the analytics is like, once you go over two mistakes in the game as far as losing the ball, and
you're under 50% now.
Yeah, you can't. The likelihood of you winning that game is very difficult. It's like
it's less than 50. Yeah.
So what are you gonna? You're gonna keep putting your guy who's hurt out there because you have to pay him. He's got guaranteed money. Just bench him. Right. Does he stay this year, or did they cut him? What happens with Cousins? What do you think? Everything right now is in the ball's in Penix's court. He gotta go out there, perform. And
that's true. Maybe Penix is not ready yet, so we'll find that Sunday, right?
However he performs will determine how much longer they'll keep Kirk Cousins, because they'll need somebody for him to lean on. He can't just be out there, be a rookie quarterback. Even if he does perform very well, he'll need somebody to guide him, because this is a game that is among men. It's men amongst men. This isn't a college game anymore. So, and there's nobody better who's played better football at quarterback than Kirk Cousins, who's banked on himself. And I'm not saying that he's the best quarterback ever. I'm just saying he's banked on himself, and he's been able to get contracts, and he's been made good on what he was doing to get those contracts. That's something positive that people want to hear, especially a kid like Penix, who wants to be in the league longer than 5 seasons, right? So, you rather have
interesting. Yeah.
You don't have somebody in your ear that's helping you.
Do you think he'll play the backup role?
I think Kirk Cousins
would, with the kind of money they're making and paying him.
I think Kirk Cousins will do whatever Kirk Cousins wants to do to have an opportunity to keep playing football. And if he stays in Atlanta, he's more likely to have another opportunity to play football than if he moves about and try to get another position somewhere else, because of how this year has turned out.
And he's got a no trade clause too, by the way. This guy gets the best deals for a guy that's won like 1 or 2 playoff games.
But listen, there's a few guys that have made it out like that in the NFL, but you see all the stuff he's gone through, man. Like I had very little idea about what kind of person he was until I watched that Netflix thing. Not to say that the Netflix thing is a true
I love the Netflix
of his entire life, but if you see how he is with people in the community, with his teammates, the guy is a professional, and you want positivity, and he shows that in his own way. So
like Jim Jeffcoat says, he's we know he's a Christian, he's a good guy. I'm a Christian, go to church every Sunday. Right. He's got a little beaver cleaver, and he dated concept, but a lot of people watch Nick at Night still.
I mean, listen,
he plays up to the room a little bit.
And a thing like Atlanta, after losing Michael Vick to that situation, and they don't need more. That's why they picked someone like Penix too, because Penix was known as one of those kids that was
He's
high,
a clean cut. Yeah.
high profile, studious, academic focus, good family background.
Faith-based guy as well. Yeah.
So because Atlanta can bring the best of you out or the worst. So
yeah. And Michael Vick's turned his life. He's a coach at Norfolk State now. So
just got the job, and good for him. Good for the NFL too, because that gives them a look at that former players, even with issues, can have opportunities and move on to do better things and not be the person that some people think that they'll be for the rest of their lives. So it's good for him.
Right. Okay, we'll do a quick recap of last week. Miami, Houston. By the way, I'm up 10 games.
Yeah, that one.
It's not over with. It's not over with. Just keep your head up. Houston did beat Miami. I don't know, man. Miami felt like they were in this game, and they are a bit finesse. And the old criticisms of Tua are coming back now. Can't get away. Can't make the big play. And here's another angle to Miami too. McDaniel's teams do kind of feel finesse down the stretch when you need to be more physical in games. And I still feel like they shouldn't have re-signed 2 wide receivers to that kind of money. And it's coming back to bite them. They had a left tackle out of this game. They need to build that line up and be more physical. I don't know, but then again, I like Houston. I thought they were fresh coming off that bye week. But what do you think, man? Miami, Houston, competitive, but Houston comes out with the win, and Miami's on the outside looking in for the playoff.
Yeah, and that what you said is right on the button. Like you're missing that O-line personnel.
Yes,
you can't have negative 60 yards rushing if you're trying to build air game. You gotta be a little bit more, pounding the ball, and you gotta be able to get a few more yards, and then just give the opportunity for your wide receivers to get open, because you got to play that type of wide open offense. If you can't run the ball, man, you're not gonna win the games nowadays. So, they have 52 yards rushing compared to 77. Now Houston threw the ball a little bit more as well. They didn't rush as much, but they did have more than 50 yards rushing.
Yeah,
and Miami has 6 points the second quarter, 6 points the third quarter. Like, you can't just get 6 points. You gotta manage the game.
And that goes with Tua, and he can't
just
compared to a Stroud. He can't get away like a Stroud can.
Right.
Throw the ball upfield, and that's been one of the old knocks on Tua. I know everybody was praising Tua, me too, when they didn't have Tua because of his concussion. Because the backup's that much worse, But
the worst part is that he needs to be out on a sweep. He needs to see the field. He can make plays. You can't keep him in the pocket. You can't not rush the ball. Like, those are 3 things that McDaniels and his offensive coordinators need to get on the same page. This guy is not going to help you if you keep him in the pocket. You don't want him in the pocket. You do not want to be, because that's how he's going to get a concussion. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, because he can't see.
Well, everything has to be short and precise, and he's good at that. But the problem is the defenses are in tune to that. And Tyreek Hill's kind of in a slump here lately. Well,
they had the running game was not what it was last year. There's
a
few injuries over there as well. And there's a lot of things that Miami can do but can't do right now because of injuries and because they're not, and like you said, the defenses are starting to do cloud cover. They're just trying to do
they're in tune,
it's those small blitzes and things to get to all anxious and stuff. So, listen, but again, it doesn't matter who you have on your roster and who you're signing. If you're not using them, it's all go for show. It's just another season out.
Yeah, McDaniels may be on the hot seat, and I didn't think about that, but there's a possibility.
He's supposed to be a guru, man. We want to see better games. I'm sure.
Well, maybe he's just he might just be offensive coordinator material. Now, a lot of guys come underneath that. There's a lot of defensive guys that are just coordinator material. Look at Vic Fangio up here with Philadelphia. Another big win, beat Pittsburgh. We both called that game. Didn't think it would be about 2 touchdowns, but it was. What do you think about that game? Philly really looks like they're in fine-tuned other than the drama in the locker room. But player wise, man.
Well, good on the quarterback there for Philadelphia. Like calling out the media, talking about I can't throw the ball. What other questions do you have? Because you see the results. Like
19 receptions for between
Brown and
Devontae Smith and AJ Brown.
Right, like Hurts isn't hurting for tools and different like personnel to help him be a better quarterback. But again, you got those players, you got to use them, and these players are gonna be conscientious and know and understand that they can't play the same game on the field every day, like every time they go out there. They do have to make changes. People are trying to
don't tell us, Chad. I said first score.
Yeah, like
just say score, Chad. Don't say who scored or how they scored. If some guy scored with his girlfriend, we don't want to know. We don't want to know. Okay, so that's true. That's true. What about the Pittsburgh side? Is Pittsburgh kind of falling off a little bit? I mean, they got some injuries with George Pickens not being.
Yeah, the Pickens injury hurts Russell because he knows that he can throw the ball up and Pickens can reach it. Vermouth is a good option as a blanket.
Oh, I love that guy, that tight end.
But other than that, like that gives you, and that shows, and the defense can very much adjust to the fact that they don't have Pickens, so they can put a little bit more focus on Russell and the short game.
Yeah.
If I knew I was missing Pickens, I just run the ball and run the time and control the time of the possession.
Because they still got a play-making defense. It's not the best defense, but right. I think they lead their top with takeaways in the NFL. So Buffalo,
it's just the Eagles' defense is so much better. And
yes, it's layered, it's depth, it's
right.
Again, not to compliment. I tried to find our. I accidentally deleted it, but I still have it on the podcast. But that draft show we did back in April was awesome. I mean, we were both really high on how did Howie Roseman find a way to get both of them corners in the same draft, and Cooper DeJean, who had a well of a tackle against Derrick Henry the other day, open field, and of course Xavier Mitchell, the cornerback there, and you add in with the players that they've been building up, your Jalen Carters. It's really Vic Fangio's really got these guys playing at a high level right now.
And he's having fun. He knows. Look,
Fangio, yeah.
And I'm not talking about. I don't want to make it sound like it's ageism, but these guys are speedy. These guys have. They've always had potential, and they're, aside from some of the injuries that happen because they're over exerting themselves sometimes, which it's football, it's going to happen, but they're coming back because they're not like major injuries. This is an exciting defense, and nobody's saying that about them. And
yes.
When they're on the field, man, and they're playing decent offenses, it shows that these guys are having fun and they're going out there and smacking people around, and it's starting to show that they are a top-rated defense. So Nick Fangio, everything he touches turns to gold, man. Every time he touches defense, they increase five like slots more the next that season.
He's an older school guy, a hard-nosed guy, and it did not work out with him and Mike McDaniel in Miami. He said he wasn't, air quote, a good fit. You got to wonder what type of is he running a country club down there in Miami, or is he trying to run a football team?
I just think that Miami was trying to stretch out the older players in contracts, keep them around to not pay more instead of getting younger and faster. Nick Fangio's like, we got to get some youth. We got to get some players. And Miami was like, we're already overextended in contracts. So it's not a good fit if you're telling your offensive minded coaches like, hey, we got to get more defense. They don't want to hear it. They want to hear about scoring points. So it doesn't become.
Well, I feel like we're putting more pressure on Philadelphia. Talking them up, ain't we? But you know what? That they thrive on pressure. You either fold under pressure, or what do they say? Pressure makes gold.
I mean, this coach is under fire anyways. He's going to get fired no matter what, I think. So he
Who's
better.
That?
he just better get he just better look for something.
Sirianni?
Yeah, I think he's done. I don't think he wants to hear
if he screws this up because the team's so good, it's kind of like with Ohio State. We'll get into that game here in a little bit with Ryan Day, for example. But anyways, you were right about Tampa and the Chargers. I was really impressed with the way Baker Mayfield's play. He lost his offensive coordinator last year. He goes to North Carolina with the Panthers. I'm thinking, okay, Mayfield's going to screw this up. I know he's going to screw this up. And this guy's having a career year. He's higher completion percentage this year than he's ever had. I'm really proud of that young man. Cocky mother effort's kind of grown up a little bit, Yeah. And he's playing well. And you called it last year, but it was a really good win for Tampa on the road at the LA Chargers. What do you think about that game and the way Mayfield played?
Yeah, I mean, you got to give this guy his due. He's always been that cocky guy, but not just a cocky, but competitor. That's what everybody talks about.
He's a super competitor, and I can appreciate it.
And very, very motivational to his players.
Yes.
He brought back a wide receiver that everybody's like, oh, he's cooked. I said he was cooked. I thought he was done. Evans, I thought he was too old, but no, this guy's playing even better. Hurt.
Evans is probably a Hall of Famer, man.
Yeah,
that dude's got a lot of
he's working. Both of them are working hard to score points. You could see the chemistry they had together is working out. Baker can throw the ball. People just don't realize that because they try to force them in the pocket for so many years. But he can rifle that ball. He just can't be in the pocket.
He can't run for big far, and now he's finally learning that.
Right.
He's good with the ball.
He can run with the ball, but he's not. What is this guy? He's
Lamar
not
Jackson.
He's not Steve Young,
or Lamar Jackson.
He's
definitely like Steve Young.
But he might be a little bit.
In his mind, he's Josh Allen, but he's not. But he's figuring a lot of this out. That's why I want to compliment the guy.
Right? Yeah, he kind of reminds me of Garcia a little bit. That can run.
Yeah, a little bit.
But he needed to pick his.
Yeah, Garcia's a little bit. I'm not giving him backhanded compliments. I'm saying that he knows his strengths and weaknesses better now than he did just 2 or 3 years ago. Baker.
And that's
what you're supposed to do, right?
Yeah, you got to use a team and everybody on the team for where they're at and what they can provide for you. So and again, I've always liked that coach. I don't know why they got rid of him and the Jets. Todd
Bowles.
Todd Bowles will.
Yeah, he's really grown on me, man. He'll
give you a winning game plan, but your offense has to score points, which has always been a problem for the Jets and
yes,
a little bit for Tampa Bay last year. But this year they're getting points, and you can tell. That defense is meshing. It's young. It's fast. Maybe we'll get a Tampa Bay versus an Eagles finals. Ooh.
Well, I'll tell you what, they really made the Eagles look. They embarrassed the Eagles in the playoffs last year. I'm sure the Eagles ain't forgot about that.
Which is why.
But remember, the Eagles have 2 new coordinators now,
right?
Because of that,
and which is why Sirianni might get fired if there is
if they mess around and lose again,
and if there is an Eagles/Tampa Bay.
That's true. It'll be in Philadelphia this time. It won't be down in Tampa. Right. Likely, very likely. So, man, you know what? I was really. Well, we'll go to the Green Bay game. Green Bay, I told you I thought they would win. I didn't think they'd play that well out in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
But so they're a very talented team. They're a dangerous team. When they play like they did Sunday night, they could beat anybody. That's the Green Bay we saw 1 year ago, Carlos, when they beat the crap out of Dallas. And then they pushed the 49ers to the brink last year and almost got to the NFC Championship game. So don't want to get too high on them. I know they're still the youngest team in the league. What do you think about Green Bay, Seattle last Sunday night?
My question has always been, the youth is always up in the air, but that's okay because you need to be young and fast.
Really young, yeah.
What is LaFleur? What is his mindset? What is his plan? Are you just playing football and trying to make changes and adjustments, and you're gonna win like that? What I don't see what their who is Green Bay like from their coach's perspective. And that's one only thing I question is, are you gonna follow through and win games now that are in the playoffs? Because you've been winning games, and you one of the most winningest coaches for the amount of time that he's been coaching in that division, right? LaFleur's got a winning record as a head coach.
Yeah,
but he doesn't have a winning record in the playoffs. So can you coach them up? Can you get them past like in the playoffs? And I don't know that yet. I don't know. No matter what this team does.
Won last year, so and I don't know this year. Maybe.
All right, my question to you: do you believe in LaFleur as a coach?
Right now, yeah. You know something? They're leaning more into a power running game these last few weeks with Josh Jacobs. And there's so many ways they could beat you. Romeo Doubs had a big game. Then it's, what's the other guy's name? Jaden Daniels or whatever, that really speedy guy. We thought Christian Watson was the main guy. Then you look at their tight ends. I mean, they got so many ways they could beat you offensively. I don't know, man. They're just in a very tough division this year.
Do you believe in Love?
Best division in football.
Do you believe in Love?
Yeah. Yeah, man.
I mean, like, listen.
Love is Glove, he was hurt earlier this year.
Yeah.
And look at the maturation of Love from just a year and a half ago, man, till the end of last year until the way he's playing now. You could still see the growth. I don't think he's stagnant. I think he's still growing as a player. And these guys are all believing in each other. They've gotten rid of there's no bad seeds in Green Bay. Unlike, see what Baltimore did today? Deontay Johnson, this guy was turned into cancer. They cut him today,
right,
the wide receiver, which, the Steelers moved on and so did the Carolina Panthers. But
who
Green Bay, there's a lot of team chemistry there.
Who would you rather have, Herbert or Love?
I do like Herbert's arm strength, though. You saw what he did last night, man.
Right.
And they got some roster issues, but that was a big win for them last night. And I think they'll get to a Super Bowl eventually in the next 2 years or so.
My confidence in
Love, I think there's still some growth for Love. I don't know, man.
Yeah, to me, it's still up in the air. LaFleur and Love, I don't believe in them yet totally. As a football fan watching football, to watch a football game, I'm not going to bet on Green Bay. That's just me. But you can.
Well, they beat up on Seattle. They got the best of Seattle Sunday.
Yeah, they did, and I was that. Look, I'm happy when they play. I told you I don't care if I lose on that pick, but you play a good game, man. It's good, but it's kind of one of those things like golf. You got to show me that you can go past, or like Cousins or like those guys. You got to show me that you can make it past, past the second.
Well, we're going to find out in a few weeks. I do think they're going to make the playoffs, and I tell you what, if they catch Detroit, right, I think they can beat Detroit because of these injuries.
Ooh.
And
Detroit
seeing the defensive side of Detroit's really starting to pile up. What do you think about did Josh Allen? Did he seal his MVP bid playing like that against Detroit? But then again, Detroit's pretty banged up.
Right, Detroit's banged up, but you got to play. You still got to play and go out there, and you're still the top-rated team, and you got to show people that you're a top-rated team. And Josh Allen, Superman Cape, went out there and showed people that, no matter who they play, he's going to try to do his best to take over the game. Yeah. That's the thing about Josh Allen. Like, that's one thing I learned, and I'm not going to root for the Bills and tell them they're going to the Super Bowl, but this kid is legit. I've said a few times, it's like Dan Marino being on the Dolphins. Like, he gonna get his.
Yeah, except he's a lot more athletic.
He's gonna get his, man, but that don't mean that the team's gonna win. Nah. So unfortunately, he's in a tight spot. If I'm him and his agent, I'm looking for a ticket out of Buffalo. To be honest with you, I know he loves.
Yeah, it's almost like if they don't move off of McDermott this year, because I don't think they're gonna get to the Super Bowl.
No, I don't think so either. But
same thing with Joe Burrow.
Right.
Now, of course, right. I'm just playing my contract out, man. And I'm telling them right now, yeah, we got the second contract. But if the things don't change in those two cities, I'm like you. I'm playing my contract. I'm getting up out of there.
I would rather see Joe Burrow in Seattle and Allen in Oakland with the two places they are right now. And I know the fan bases are blowing up right now because I said that, but you got to be somewhere where your ownership or where you have opportunity to win. And those two places for those two guys are better situated than where they're at now, to be honest with you. Because, you got to – I feel bad for those guys, man. They're doing what they can to try to win, but they don't have it around them to push to the next level, And notice, I didn't say, and I'm a New York fan. I didn't say I wanted them in New York. I would love them in New York, but they're not going to come to New York. Bro.
Everybody's talking about Allen. Look how bad their defense is playing. They've gave up 40-something points in the last two games.
Buffalo and Cincinnati got the same kind of defense, man. Come on. What's going on,
is Detroit too banged up to make a run now?
I think, and I've said this from the get, I don't have confidence in Detroit. The problem is that their defense isn't pumping, that offense needs to score 27, 32 points. They can do it, but right now their injuries are piling up. Montgomery's out. They got two guys in the defense. So, you got to score points and you got to defend. And right now, they got a lot of stuff to bear on their shoulders. They might not win out the rest of the season. They might win 1 out of 2. They might be 1 and 2. So, what is it, 3 games, right? 3 games left?
Yeah. They got 3 games left. They play the Bears. I think they'll beat the Bears. But then again, maybe they might not. I don't know.
They might lose that, yeah. So, they got to be careful right now, and everybody's got a target on them. And now they got to prove that they're the number 1 team, not just in record, but they got to show out and play. And I don't know if they can.
Yeah. Well, they've got protection up front for Jared Goff, and they could still get to the quarterback with DJ Ritter and L'Jarius Smith. They just don't have depth, and their secondary is taking a big hit. Carlton Davis is out, but you still got those pretty good safeties there.
They got 12 players out. They got 12 players out.
Yeah, some of them weren't starters though.
Right, but
so
depth matters, man, in the playoffs.
Yeah, I wish they had Hutchinson back, but it just is what it is at this point. I'm not ready to write them off though. I think the right matchup. I think they can still get there.
Man, I've never been on the train, and I don't mind if it passes me by, but I'm not betting on that. I'm not betting on that team. I can't.
It was a great game, though. It's a good game.
Yeah, it was
crazy.
A good game. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, 90 points. And hey, they almost came back. What if they would have got that onside kick and hit the Hail Mary? We'd have been talking about that, Like the Commanders hitting that Hail Mary against the
we
Bears.
were laughing that game. I was texting you back and forth. This game's over, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
I know I had the freaking Bears, and you had Washington, but then I focused in like Dan Campbell talked to coach me up just like that, and they said, "Now I'm up 10 games." So,
you're good. You're good. Yeah, you don't have to listen.
I'm just messing with you. Hey man, so how'd your Toronto thing going? Just any luck with that Pokemon tournament?
No, man, we had a blast. My son didn't get up to the top 20, but it's the first time he went to a regional.
You gotta, start somewhere.
Yeah, so he's gonna start doing new things, and he's very excited about it. I'm glad he's into something like that. It's something different. It's not like picking up a football or kicking a soccer ball, but again, it's very competitive, and it's something different, and it's a fun trip, man. I got to spend time with him, and it was really cool. Y'all
gonna do it again?
Yeah. There's a tournament. Maybe we'll go to Atlanta. I'm hoping we can try to make Puerto Rico because they have one in Puerto Rico. But I
dang,
don't know.
Well, look at you guys. Fun. All right. It is what it is. Hey, man. Let's see. Should we stay in college and work? I'll tell you what. We'll work our way to the NFL. What do you think about the SMU Penn State game tomorrow? That'll be played at Penn State, by the way.
Yeah, and the Penn State, the ball is in your court, man. Prove to people that you can be a good football team and finish the game. Don't go out there 14-0, jumping around, thinking that you're hot stuff, and then you gave up a couple fumbles or something dumb, and and penalties, and then SMU's back in it. SMU will keep you straight. They're competitive, man. Yeah. They've been ranked one of the top 10 teams the whole season, and they are quick. They're young. The only problem is they don't have that depth that Penn State has, and those number five.
They ain't got that front line either.
Right. But they're quick, man, and that quarterback is sneaky. So keep him in check and prove to the nation that you are Coach Franklin, man. Prove that you can finish a game out, man, and beat up on a ranked team, man. And if you beat them up like you beat up Maryland, man. Show them that you don't care. You know what I'm saying?
So who do you think wins this game?
I'm saying all this, and I think Penn State's gonna keep these guys in the game, and I think it's gonna be like 32-27 and a tight game. And
Penn State wins.
I think it could be either team, man. But I hope Penn State wins, but SMU has the opportunity
because but you got to make a pick, dude. Come on.
I like. All right, I'll say Penn State wins 32-27, but again, this is gonna be a tight game.
We're pretty close on that, man. I mean. They're 8.5-point favorites. I was leaning. I know Keith told me he likes potential upset there, but that's SMU.
That's what I'm saying, man.
With Jennings, he runs around. But Kevin was telling me about that front line, and we know Penn State's been there before. They played in big games. They played against Ohio State every year, Michigan most years, and the truth of the matter is they are better on the inside. SMU's probably kind of lucky to be here, even and I do think that they're going to keep this guy Jennings running around all over the place.
How about this, Robert? How about this?
He might keep him in the game because he's a good athlete, but at the end of the day, man, I'm thinking 31-21 Penn State gets the W, man. Yeah, and they're at home too.
Yeah, they're like the Boise State Boise State. Remember when Boise State first started coming into the tournament and stuff? Mm-hmm. They're kind of like that. Like they coming in ready to win, and that's scary when you got little guys ready to win because the underdogs, man, they don't give up easy. But I'm with you. We think Penn State.
If this were a neutral site game, maybe I would have a different opinion.
Really, that much?
But I really like that tight end for Penn State. I like the way they played Oregon. Oregon was just a better team.
That's the thing.
Yeah, I mean Oregon's quick as a cat. So Penn State 31-21. I think they covered at 8.5. Pull away at the end. We've already talked about the other game. Which one are we missing? Are we
Tennessee?
Oh, yeah, Texas.
Oh, Texas and
Texas, Clemson. I keep thinking about Clemson's opening game, man, against Georgia. I know they've gotten better.
Yeah.
But look how well Texas really is.
Man, you like
the way Texas played Georgia, and you look at the way Clemson played Georgia. Look at Texas should have beat Georgia. They should. I mean, and I picked Georgia. We picked Georgia in the championship game, but they couldn't finish scores. And I know this guy Isaiah Bond is a little banged up for Texas, but they're the deeper team. I know Clemson's got the advantage at the head coach, 2-time national championship. But I tell you what, this would really look bad on Sark if they lose at Austin, man. The weather's going to be good. They're a much more complete team. I think they pull away in the second half. It's similar to Georgia, but it ain't going to be 31-3 or 34-3. I think it's 30-21. 9-point game. I guess Clemson keeps it somewhat within that 12.5-point spread, but I like Texas to get the win, man. What do you think?
I think that if there's going to be an upset, it'd be this match.
You think Clemson's going to win?
Because I feel like they have the book on Texas and how to beat them. And not like you, man. I know for some reason you like Texas. I'm not a big fan of Texas, not because of where they're at and what the school is, but I was just something about it. Remember I said a few games back, I was like, I don't think Texas is going to win, and they didn't win that game against Georgia. I was like,
the very first game against Georgia, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like,
I should have took Georgia because that's what I took in the preseason.
Yeah, and I'm like, I think that there's just something about Texas that they're missing, even though they've been rated high this year.
Oh, I think they're gonna put Arch in there if Quinn Ewers starts pooping in the bed.
That's another thing. If you got, well, what's the whole thing about if you got two quarterbacks? You got
None, but that's not true when you got all world guys like this.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
What's your prediction, man? You're sitting on the fence there, Chief.
I am sitting on the fence, man. I'm a fence. I'm riding the fence more than I'm riding that Detroit train.
Take a dump or get off the pot.
Yeah, like I'm gonna stay here, man. I'm gonna pick.
He does do well when his back's against the wall,
yeah,
Chad.
I'm gonna pick Clemson upset.
Wow. Okay.
33-27.
Don't let me talk you out of it.
No,
I like Texas.
I know.
I'll tell you what, if that happens, man, Stark better get out of Dodge, man.
I think the problem in Texas.
Him and Ron Day, dude, that seat.
I think the problem in Texas is that is Stark. Stark.
Yeah.
I think that's a problem because he's not a culture guy. He's more, like in Texas, they're looking for a culture guy. They're looking for the next Saban, and I don't feel like Sarkisian is the guy. I'm sorry.
I like Texas this week. I don't know about winning the championship. Let's don't get crazy there, Tony. Let's go on to Tennessee. We still got some more games to do. It's 10 till. Tennessee, Ohio State. God, I can't wait for this game. Guys at work have been asking me about it all week. Different people talked about it with you, talked about it with Kevin and Keith this week. 7.5 point spread there. Yes, Ohio State did lose to Michigan. Tennessee does have an excellent offensive line. They can run the ball. Maybe they could do what Michigan did. Here's my thing. I think that Tennessee's defensive line is not as big as Michigan's. It's more small, edgy, and fast, So I don't know if it's really going to get to them. Like, I know that Ohio State offensive line is not as good as Georgia's. Don't get me wrong. I do think this will be a close game. This is right within that 7.5 point spread for Tennessee here. Don't get me wrong. I think Nico can play. I think he can run the ball, keep this thing close here. Same thing with Dylan Sampson there. But Ohio State, I think they do have a different approach than they had in the Michigan game. I think Tennessee is a little bit similar to Oregon. And I think if Oregon would have played Ohio State at a neutral site, I think they would have beat Oregon. So reluctantly, I pick with my head, not my heart. I'm saying 23-19. I think Ohio State hangs on, wins the game, but Tennessee covers that 7.5 point spread. Could be wrong. When you got a game that close, it could go either way. What do you think about Tennessee, Ohio State? Biggest game of the weekend, probably in all of sports, other than maybe Steelers bought Ravens.
Yeah, I think this will probably be another upset.
Okay.
I think Tennessee.
Well, I hope you're right. The guys at work will be going crazy.
Yeah, I think Tennessee is going to win this, and it's going to be a close grudge match, 27-24. I think Tennessee, Ohio State will come out of this, and Tennessee, they're going to play so hard, but if they move on, I don't think they'll move on further than this game. I think this is their championship.
Well, they would have to play Oregon next.
That's what I'm saying. This is their championship game.
They may match up pretty well with. I don't know. I mean, that would be. I would really have to dig in position by position if Tennessee plays Oregon and beat, or they get past Ohio State and play Oregon.
Yeah, I mean, if Tennessee moves on, because
they're a speed team. Oregon's a speed team.
Right, and then they'll match up well, and then
they would match up pretty well against Oregon. But then again, there's the experience factor at quarterback. You got Dylan Gabriel and
right. So listen, this is one of those games, and
27-24 Vols. Okay,
and I think that's going to be both teams are going to try to run the ball and control the clock, so it's going to slow the pace of the game down.
Yeah,
because
if they do that and don't pass to set up the run, I'm talking about Ohio State. If that happens, Carlos, I do think that Tennessee will win this game. Yeah. They will, because Tennessee's got that's advantage Tennessee. They're one of the best running teams in the country. Because forget about the weather. The weather thing ain't a big deal. I think Tennessee will be fine in the weather.
No, and the thing is that they just take a book out of Michigan and just run the ball. You teach that.
Yeah.
because they saw the holes that were created after running the ball for the first half. For the first quarter, you running them. So
okay, to the NFL. This game's gonna be played tomorrow too. It's a crazy weekend, man. Houston at Kansas City. Give me your take, and then I'll give you mine real quick.
This is a game that the Browns going to come and start playing for Kansas City. So I see that.
Oh, Hollywood Browns back, yeah.
Hollywood Browns back. I see that Mahomes will be at a better comfort level, which I feel like he's always comfortable, but he'll be even knowing that he's got another tool that he can just throw the ball to. Yeah. Will help him feel a little bit better in the pocket, or he's sleeping on the outside throwing the ball. Texas needs to score, man. And, you know, I don't feel like they're adding that running back would help them that much this year. They should have got a younger guy, and they should have just kept trying, but they ended up with this guy. So I don't know, like they can't set up to throw the ball. They can't run the ball consistently.
Okay, what's your score there?
Chiefs will win 33-20.
Wow. Okay. It is in Arrowhead. So
yeah,
they're 3.5-point favorites there. Patrick Mahomes coming off a mild high ankle sprain. Of course, we know he won a Super Bowl with one. So this time I do think that line is a little banged up. They keep switching their left tackles again. I'm just not sure, man. Danielle Hunter and of course Will Anderson, Texans come out there just one more week off their bye week. I'm actually calling for an upset here. Texans on the road. These two teams played a few years ago. Texans actually pushed them to overtime. So it's a very good matchup for Houston. Could be way off here. Usually am. I never like to bet against Mahomes. I usually get my butt kicked. But I'm calling for 23-20 Houston. With a upset there on the road. So it looks like you may be chopping into my 10-game lead there, Chief.
I call it for two upsets and a basic win. So
yeah,
I might still stay even with 10.
All right. Pittsburgh, Baltimore. This game will be played tomorrow. Pittsburgh, I'll start first this time since Pittsburgh's won 8 out of 10 of these games. Man, they seem to own Baltimore. They're in Baltimore's head like Michigan is. Michigan is Ohio State, and the way Florida's been in with Tennessee here lately. But, you know, George Pickens is out again. I read one of their best run stoppers is out for Pittsburgh on the defensive line. And it's not Watt. T.J. Watt will be back for the Steelers, okay? This game is played in Baltimore. Baltimore's 6.5-point favorites. And I know Nelson Aguilar is not going to play. Bateman's questionable at wide receiver for the Ravens. That being said, Ravens also off just 1 week off that late bye week like Houston had. I'm actually looking for Lamar and this group to bounce back and beat the Steelers. They're going to beat them and cover that spread by 1 point. 27-20, like the Ravens tomorrow afternoon, to beat the Steelers and get over the schneid. Sorry, Chris Berman would say.
It's been a while. Look, Lamar doesn't fare well with against the Steelers.
No.
You know, he doesn't have he don't have a good record against them at all. But this is a game for him to prove that he's MVP material.
Yes.
2-time MVP. Carry the team.
May win it again.
Carry the team. Don't worry about what the Steelers have to do, because the Steelers are going to be the Steelers, and they're going to try to rough you up and play that low, slow game.
Yeah.
Just go out there and, pick apart this team in every way that you know how a QB. If you got to run the ball, run the ball. If you got to –
what's the score?
I feel like the Ravens and Lamar will actually probably win this game finally 24-21.
Okay. It's always a tight game.
Yeah.
Minnesota, Seattle. Again, you got a division leader and you got a 12-team game. This is a big game.
I think this is the biggest game the NFL will have that is in a small market.
Funny. Okay, you go ahead and give your analysis. I'll give you mine real quick.
Yeah, I feel like the Vikings, right?
Okay, yeah, Vikings at Seattle.
At Seattle. I think that this game is going to be really close because Seattle plays close games at home. I I'm not sure if they can keep the energy level up, but they have two of the best wide receiver tandems that always call out Jefferson, but they forget about Addison, and Addison is killing it this season. He's having a great year. Darnold's on point, man. I've never seen him play this way, which is why the Jets got rid of him. I'm glad that he's at the Vikings.
Yeah,
they got a good running back and a good tight end tandem as well. And I don't know if Seattle's young, fast defense can cover the whole field.
What are you saying? You saying Minnesota on the road?
Minnesota might be able to upset them, and it's going to be like 32-27. It's going to be close.
Okay. I like your Seattle to come back this week, actually.
Nice.
Seattle's pretty healthy. Kenneth Walker's back and been playing. They got humiliated by Green Bay last week. Minnesota played Monday Night Football. They got to come across the country. And I like their receiving core, Jackson Smith, the Jigma. And think about the receivers in this game. DK Metcalf. Anything weak on Minnesota, is their cornerback positions. Although, obviously, they got a really good defensive coordinator in Flores. I'm calling for 27-23 Seattle. Wins at home. They revamp. They come back from that awful loss against the Green Bay Packers. And, of course, Lobo gets a touchdown, according to Chad Gillett.
The only reason I'm picking the Vikings is because they're coming off of a win, and the quarterback – the
Vikings are playing great. They win every week.
If you're doing a Geno Smith and a comparison, there's no comparison there because Geno's not consistent. He's up and down, and even with all the tools that he has, and that Vikings defense, they're starting to hit on cylinders that people are not. They don't want to play them. You don't want to play the Vikings right now, man.
Yeah, they're playing really good football, but at Seattle, they can do a lot better than what they did.
I hope, man. I picked Seattle. That's how I lost some of the games, man.
I picked against Seattle, and you picked Seattle, and that's why you're in the hole you're in. I think you may come back this week. Hey, man, we're at the end of the show here. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas with the family, brother. And
likewise.
Tell the audience also that I want to tell the audience also we won't have a program until next Thursday. So we're going to show them replays and whatnot. So just kind of keep we'll have some replays on next week. I've got stuff to do at work. And then, of course, you got Christmas stuff. So, man, you definitely have a Merry Christmas, man. Are you going to be back next Friday?
Yeah. Listen, everybody, I want to tell the audience, look,
If you're gonna drink, stay at home. They're gonna have a lot of traffic stops up here in the New York.
It's not New Year's yet.
Yeah, I know. No, they're gonna have a lot of traffic stops all over the place for the holidays here in the metro, in the three-state area, the tri-county, tri-state area over here in this northeastern part of the United States.
Yeah.
I know that in Tennessee they have them near Nashville going to. Right? So you guys, everybody, be safe. You know, enjoy your family and enjoy your free time if you get any. And
Merry Christmas, Jack.
Come watch some football this weekend. It's gonna be crazy.
Woo! Can't wait. I get off here. I'm gonna watch this game. And
yes, sir.
Chad almost let the cat out of the bag earlier. I'm curious of what happened in Notre Dame. So
happy holidays, everybody, and happy New Year.
Well, Merry Christmas, and we're gonna get to New Year's. So all right, thanks, Carlos.
Have a good one.
Great show tonight. Crowd loves you, man.
I get that on my phone too.
See you, buddy. All right, everybody. Again, I'll be back here Thursday, but tune in. I have some great replays, good interviews set up coming up next week here on the